He wasn't even sure that he had really loved her, but he knew that every hour of the day he missed her love of him and her gay, untidy, chiding and often irritating presence. And though he ate their canapes and drank their martinis, he had nothing but contempt for the international riffraff with whom he consorted on the North Shore. He could perhaps have made friends with the soldier elements, the gentlemen farmers inland, or the plantation owners on the coast, the professional men and the politicians, but that would mean regaining some serious purpose in life, which his sloth, his spiritual laxity, prevented, and cutting down on the bottle, which he was definitely unwilling to do. So Major Smythe was bored to death, and but for one factor in his life, he would long ago have swallowed the bottle of barbiturates he had easily acquired from a local doctor. The lifeline that kept him clinging to the edge of the cliff was a tenuous one. Heavy drinkers veer towards an exaggeration of their basic temperaments, the classic four: sanguine, phlegmatic, choleric, and melancholic. The sanguine drunk goes gay to the point of hysteria and idiocy. The phlegmatic sinks into a morass of sullen gloom. The choleric is the fighting drunk of the cartoonists, who spends much of his life in prison for smashing people and things, and the melancholic succumbs to self-pity, mawkishness, and tears. Major Smythe was a melancholic who had slid into a drooling fantasy woven around the birds and insects and fish that inhabited the 5 acres of wavelets. The name he had given his small villa is symptomatic. Its beach and the coral reef beyond. The fish were his particular favourites. He referred to them as people, and, since reef fish stick to their territories as closely as do most small birds, after 2 years he knew them all intimately, loved them, and believed that they loved him in return. They certainly knew him, as the denizens of zoos know their keepers, because he was a daily and regular provider, scraping off algae and stirring up the sand and rocks for the bottom feeders, breaking up sea eggs and urchins for the small carnivores and bringing out scraps of offal for the larger ones. And now, as he swam slowly and heavily up and down the reef and through the channels that led out to deep water, his people swarmed around him fearlessly and expectantly, darting at the tip of the 3-pronged spear they knew only as a prodigal spoon, flirting right up to the glass of the Pirelli, and even, in the case of the fearless, pugnacious damsels, nipping softly at his feet and legs. Part of Major Smythe's mind took in all these brilliantly coloured little people, but today he had a job to do, and while he greeted them in unspoken words, "Morning, Beau Gregory," to the dark blue damsel sprinkled with bright blue spots, the jewel-fish that exactly resembles the starlit fashioning of a bottle of Worth's Vol de Nuit. "Sorry, not today, sweetheart," to a fluttering butterfly fish with false black eyes on its tail, and "You're too fat anyway, blue boy," to an indigo parrotfish that must have weighed a good 10 pounds. His eyes were searching for only one of his people, his only enemy on the reef, the only one he killed on sight: a scorpionfish. Scorpionfish inhabit most of the southern waters of the world, and the rascasse that is the foundation of bouillabaisse belongs to the family. The West Indian variety runs up to only about 12 inches long and perhaps a pound in weight. It is by far the ugliest fish in the sea, as if nature were giving warning. It is a mottled brownish-grey with a heavy, wedge-shaped, shaggy head. It has fleshy, pendulous eyebrows that droop over angry red eyes and a coloration and broken silhouette that are perfect camouflage on the reef. Though a small fish, its heavily toothed mouth is so wide that it can swallow whole most of the smaller reef fishes, but its supreme weapon lies in its erectile dorsal fins, the first few of which, acting on contact like hypodermic needles, are fed by poison glands containing enough tetrodotoxin to kill a man if they merely graze him in a vulnerable spot, in an artery, for instance, or over the heart or in the groin. They constitute the only real danger to the reef swimmer, far more dangerous than barracuda or shark, because, supremely confident in their camouflage and armory, they flee before nothing except the very close approach of a foot or actual contact. Then they flit only a few yards on wide and bizarrely striped pectorals and settle again watchfully, either on the sand, where they look like a lump of overgrown coral, or amongst the rocks and seaweed, where they virtually disappear. And Major Smythe was determined to find one, spear it, and give it to his octopus to see if it would take or spurn it, see if one of the ocean's great predators would recognize the deadliness of another.